Okay, well, thanks very much for coming back in on time, and keep your eyes peeled for that wedding ring. And no one will be offended if you interrupt the proceedings by giving a big cheer that we've found it. We're now going to move on to the two main enabling activities. And first up is knowledge. You know, we always hear about this great number of how much do we know and how much don't we know about the ocean. And that number varies between, 10% and sort of 5%, 7%. And for many years, I stood in front of groups such as us and said we know about 10% of the ocean. And as we learnt more through the years, we discovered that we knew a lot less than we thought. And now we talk about 7%. So there's a big knowledge gap. And one very smart way to fill that gap is something called the European Digital Twin of the Ocean. To get us started on that, we're joined by Mauro Facchini. Could you please join us? Who's the Director General for Defence Industry and Space Vision. Thank you very much, Mauro.
Thank you very much. You promoted me at least 3 steps in the in the organigram of the European Commission, so I'm very proud of that. No, so I'm head of unit for Copernicus actually, and DG Davis, so I've been running in that program for quite a long time. And my role today is really to introduce a little bit towards this digital twin ocean. So as I said, I was working for Copernicus, and probably you know Copernicus, you know EmonNet, and digital twin ocean actually is a step further. And I think with this session, we would like probably to explain to you a little bit where we stand, what are the objectives, and where we want to what we want to do. So, as you heard probably before during this meeting, the mission Ocean is about protecting our biodiversity, fighting pollution, and transforming into a carbon-neutral blue economy. And all member states and sea basin are working together to converge to these overarching goals. In this plan, the digital twin of the ocean is meant to be the enabler to transform research and innovation thanks to the digital transition. So, what is, in few words, the digital twin ocean? So it's called in general, DTO, so I will use that in order to be shorter. So the DTO is a digital replicate of the real marine system with all its complexities. So the physics, the biogeochemistry, the biology, and marine ecosystems, interacting with the other components of the hard system, such as the atmosphere, land, and interacting as well with socio-economic and socio-ecological human activities. You understand that putting together all these parameters and calculating, projecting, and anticipating is not an easy task, and we need really to elaborate all this data. And so the objective of DTO is to describe and emulate the main functions and properties of the ocean system. To do so, DTO is a digital infrastructure. So I would underline the word digital because it's very important to that, made of building blocks of ocean observations, artificial intelligence, and models, components, and a core digital infrastructure to mix data with models and compute configuration. Actually, it's part a little bit also what we call the green and digital transition. So whatever we are doing is really going that direction, going green, but at the same time embarking as much as possible the digital capacities. So the DTO, how does it work? So it provides an advanced computing environment where scientists, service providers, technical services will be able to play with data and models to simulate the so-called what-if scenarios. What if something happening, what would be the consequences? How we can anticipate that? For example, it could be for environmental scenarios due to climate change, like increased sea level rise. So what's happening in case this is materialized? Or another potential question, it could be policy scenario, like transforming an area into a marine protected area. So how to deal with that? How to anticipate what will be the impacts for that? The computing environment will allow for the combination of models and data from various sources and disciplines and transform it in actionable knowledge like impact assessment, trend indicators, mapping of the marine environment, or mapping of blue economy activities. So we are doing that, but what is most important, who is it for? The purpose of a twin is to reinvent our working practices. This is open to all users, from public authorities to business and clearly to citizens. Through simulations of global and local character, they will be able to answer and quantify questions like, where is it best to place these aquaculture forms for optimum production with less impact? Or again, if coastal floods escalate more regularly and get more intense, how will it affect coastal infrastructure or bathing areas? Or again, if we implement a given marine spatial plan in this area, what will be the expected result in the local marine environment and the local economy in 10 years? You understand that these are questions that cannot be answered very easily. You need really possibility to simulate, to anticipate, take into account the most valuable information that you have today and to project them into the future. Therefore, the DTO will offer various innovative forms of interactions. It should go from 3D immersive view of ocean state for citizens to a full virtual development environment where technicians will be able to co-develop their scenarios and run impact assessments, sharing data, uploading scientific results, and create knowledge that can be replicated across sea bases. So really kind of a digital playground where propose something new and integrate as much as possible experience that can be shared with others. How will it be built in practice? We will start indeed from the existing. The Commission is investing in marine knowledge continuously and has developed, for example, the Copernicus Marine Service, and at the same time, the EMODnet, in order to ensure the availability of both space and sea to marine data, forecast, and climate records as needed. This will not be lost. Actually, these are the starting point. These are the main injection into this digital twin ocean. So the digital twin ocean will build on top of them, and will go even beyond. Data is extremely key in this respect, because the more data we have, the more accurate the results of this digital twin can be done. So it will indeed build on EMODnet legacy as an ocean data space and integrate new sources of data from businesses, the economy, and society, as well including citizen science. In parallel of the Copernicus Marine Service production chains, the DTO will act as an advanced digital toolbox where specialists will be able to select and configure generic ocean models and artificial intelligence processors and run some configuration representing their intended scenario. The digital engine, mostly based, as said, on artificial intelligence or high-performance computing, will be powerful enough to offer a virtual development environment, easy and friendly to access supercomputing or cloud computing as needed. This will be a co-working environment. Being fully open, we expect that the DTO will flourish through a mosaic of actions and projects for the mission, for Horizon Europe, and for Copernicus that will bring forward more data, specific demonstrators, digital advances, and good practices. And the DTO as a twin is in line with the Destination Earth principle. So Destination Earth principle, for those who don't know, is an initiative run by the Commission and led by DG Connect, where we want to produce digital twins of the Earth. There are already some that are in the pipeline, namely the one on climate change or on extreme events. And this digital twin on the ocean could be the next candidate to be integrated in this Destination Earth initiative. The DTO is a shared initiative, and to succeed, it is important to take steps from the existing programs and consolidate our assets and investments into a single long-term vision. It's a joint effort that is done inside the Commission because we get into that from different angles. As said, I'm coming from DG DEFIS, bringing the Copernicus view, the Earth observation from space, but indeed on the lead we have a DG MARE, clearly, and we have DG RTD for all the research needs and capacity, and also through to the mission for oceans, and Connect, as said, because we are speaking a lot about digital capacity and really building on their efforts to increase that in Europe and globally. So it's important to merge all these skills, innovation and investments for all these parts of the Commission to the benefit of the Member States, industry, citizens and science. And we are working together, and our actions, research, observation, digital and so on, are really interrelated. That is why these different DGs have established a multi-annual implementation plan to succeed, where all contribute with each capacity to place EU at the forefront of ocean digital services internationally. Beyond Copernicus and EMODnet, the creation of this EU DTO will help us change the culture around data and their connectivity of marine knowledge with socioeconomic and added value on its own. The EU DTO will be a platform to empower us all, from our respective position to collectively share responsibility towards the ocean and seas and towards their restoration, towards a sustainable blue economy and towards new solutions to all problems, as is, for example, adaptation to climate change and the conservation of the marine biodiversity. What are the next steps? So the EU Digital Twin Ocean has started already with at least 3 projects devoted to its development, looking into the core digital infrastructure, the toolbox of ocean models, and some demonstrators of use. So we are not starting from scratch. The machine has already started. This will be more explained by the panelists of this session that will go much more in detail of all these aspects and will explain you better what kind of steps have been already done. And clearly, the community, you, should not be left outside of this endeavor. Actually, you have to be part, and this is the reason why we want to bring you more information about that. A soft governance is in place with DTO stakeholders already. As Mercator Ocean is initiated last year, a first digital ocean forum gathering the community. By the way, Mercator Ocean has been, since the beginning, the operating element for the marine service of Copernicus. It is planned that before summer 2023, the Commission will organize a second digital ocean forum in Brussels to gather the scientific community from our research project to assess how they can contribute easily to the DTO implementation and strengthen ownership of the initiative from the ones driving the scientific developments. So I hope that this introduction is giving you appetite and some insight, but I'm quite sure that the main course is coming after with my colleagues that will speak after me. Thank you very much.
Well, Mauro, thank you so much. And it's an enormous task, but it's the kind of thing that really rings with the general public, I think. And, you know, I keep thinking about Global Fishing Watch. You remember when Global Fishing Watch came out? Everybody wondered, would it be useful? Who can access it? But once people realized that it was dead easy to get on, and as the machine learning continued and we got more data, more knowledge, then that very simple thing of people going on, maybe looking to an area that we care about or we've worked in, or even our home waters, and realizing that some of those marine protected areas are almost being mapped out by the movement of the shipping. And it was a very simple thing, but it had an enormous impact. So I can't wait to see what the impact of all this is. So well done. Thank you very much, Mauro. So now we have the team to come and help us get through this and learn and understand how to do that. And this is Pierre Barrel, please, Ben Tobias, Owen O'Grady, and David Bastrick. Will you please join me on stage? Thank you. Great. Thank you. It's great to have you on stage. And I have these very small notes, which I've now transcribed. And first one is to Pierre. And, you know, Pierre, for me, all of the importance of this is not lost. And we all get this. But are you able to do the impossible and in 3 minutes explain it so that if I was at home early in the morning trying to do the ironing, people going off to school, noise, someone else making sandwiches, I'd hear you on the radio, on television, and go, wow, I've got it.
Okay. Can you do it?
Yes, okay. I'm ironing, she's making sandwiches. Okay.
No, well, we're talking about developing a digital twin of the ocean. So first, let's say it clearly, this is impossible. I mean, we must be very humble. We will never be able to reproduce this, the beauty of the ocean. I mean, this is vast, this is deep, this is mysterious, this is changing, this is freezing, blooming, boiling. So, but the more we know, the more we understand that we need to know more. But every move we take into this direction is a good one, because we really need to be able to have a place where we can share our knowledge and create more knowledge about the ocean by sharing, and also offer the possibility to understand more about this and create, and I think this is maybe the objective of this digital twin of the ocean, create the conditions for the good decisions we have to take. Very, very quickly, fast decisions for long-term planning, but also for what I will decide for the coming days, so for the citizens, for the policymakers. And I'm quite confident because I observe that there are 3 conditions that are met. There is someone asking for this. The technology is ready and the community is ready. And if we look at what has been mentioned by Mauro Facchini, looking at EMONNET, for instance, we were asking for a place to have more visibility and understanding of our capacity of observing the ocean. The technology of real-time communication between the data, the databases were ready, and the community of ocean observation were ready to that. And then suddenly, you have the two decisions that you have to take so that to transform this into a real operational service, you need a frame for doing the things, and you need a system and infrastructure. We have the EMONNET system, and we have the EMONNET frame program, and we have the EMONNET system, and we have plenty, thousands of users everywhere. We have this service collecting the data and the information from hundreds of people in Europe and serving thousands of users. The same for Copernicus. I mean, the space people looking for use of all the satellite data. The technology, we had the processing ready and the modeling capacity to transform this into three-dimensional data. The marine community and the space community ready for that. And the frame was the Copernicus program, and the system is this Copernicus Marine Service. In this sense, with the digital twin ocean, we are exactly there. I mean, Ursula von der Leyen asking for this. Okay, maybe your neighbors asking for a place to understand more about the ocean. Excellent. So the demand is very clear. The technology is the digital, and machine learning, artificial intelligence, modeling, cloud, everything's, stimulating us. And the community, I can say it, and we are ready. Marine plus digital, fully ready. And so we were looking for the frame. This is the mission Ocean, and we need to invest in infrastructures. So I will end with this part, and this is exactly what we are trying to do, to set up this public infrastructure of this European DTO, which is this common space where we will put our data, our tools, our technology, the Copernicus assets, the EMONNET assets, the research infrastructures assets, the project assets, so that we have a common place where we can really share everything and find what we need to host the expert things, the expert systems, the national digital twin, the local digital twin, all the tools. So you need this data lake, you need this super engine, modeling engine to play with everything, and then you need this value-added layer that will be populated by all the things that are done at the level of the community. So with the Mission Ocean, which is fantastic, which is the fact that we have all this community, all the projects that are recognized, identified, and stimulated for innovations with lots of projects. And with this investment on a public infrastructure, we have a place where we can transform this motivation into a real operational service. So this is what this EDITO project is about, which is called by the EMONNET architect, Belize in Belgium, and by Mercator for Copernicus, with all the colleagues that are there to federate this community and make sure that at the end we have something. And I end with this part. Thanks to this, I really think that we are the most advanced, say, continent on that. And we are connecting this with what is done at the international level. And this is very true because it has been mentioned this morning by, I think this was Sharina Vicheva, the Director General of DG Marie, explaining that the UN Decade of Ocean Science for the United Nations, they have identified the digital twin ocean. The G7 countries, they identify this, and they are looking at what we are doing in Europe for this. And so we will be ready for the UN Ocean Conference back in Europe in 25 with this European digital twin ocean, thanks to that. And there are programs for this.
Yeah, fantastic. You've achieved the impossible. I've let the toast burn. The porridge is stuck to the bottom of the saucepan. And I've realized that the science data that everybody's out there collecting goes now directly to something that is applied to a unit that's ready to deliver. So thank you very much. Impossible job. Toast burnt, porridge stuck to the bottom of the pan. Everybody happy, though. Thank you very much. Yeah, well done. Now, Bente, I'm talking about the Iliad project, and I understand you've got a couple of demonstrators that are ready to go. And can you just put those in the sort of framework of the blue economy, thinking about what we learned earlier and how the Iliad thing all sort of fits in? Is that all right? Thank you.
Yes. So thank you, Paul. I maybe be a party pooper a little bit, but I would like to go back to the concept of the way we see the ocean as one ocean. And then say, well, it's not entirely identical. We have a diversity of seas and sea basins. and they are connected in various ways. We're just looking at Europe. We have the Gibraltar, we have the Bosphorus, etc. So the ocean can also be looked at a little bit more complicated and diverse. And I think this is the approach that we in Iliad have. We look at components that need to be interconnected, be connected better to build on what Pierre just said. We have a lot of resources already, technology and data, but it's not necessarily working well together. And we are working on putting them together, and the way we are doing that is to look at concrete demonstrators. So, for instance, we have thematic and local demonstrators, so digital twins. We talk about twins in plural. And for instance, we are looking at fisheries and linking it to the blue economy. If you can save some fuel when you're going fishing or using industrial fishing, there's a possibility of making it more profitable. So, and you are also saving the planet in a way that you are, producing less CO2, for instance. So, one of our twins, is actually developing that, and we are using and connecting to the core infrastructure that Pierre was mentioning. So there's a link between the different components here, but we are implementing it and with the people. Co-design and co-creation has been mentioned several times, and this is also what we are all about. We have 56 partners, and a third of them, I think, are industrial or private sector, and thus telling us what we need to make. So going back to the blue economy and energy, so we are saving some energy through this one of the twins, but we are also producing or supporting the production of renewable energy in a couple of demonstrators that are using wave energy, tidal energy, and we are also looking at solar energy actually out in the ocean. So you could say that the digital twins can support these objectives and be a part of the blue economy in this way. Another example of demonstrator I would like to mention is related to aquaculture. We heard algae as a very positive thing here earlier, but it can actually be very damaging also for aquaculture. And being able to do risk monitoring is of interest to both the operators of aquaculture, but also for the insurance industry. So we have developing, and in fact we have a pilot, a digital twin, that is completely defined by the insurance sector itself. So we have examples of users running and directing us in creating digital twins, but we also have the scientific community on the other end. So, and I also would like to say that we are contributing to the lighthouses. We are connected to the some of the lighthouses, and at a certain stage we were talking about some of our digital twins to be embryos or baby lighthouses even. And one of the things that is important with that is that, again, coming back to knowledge and data, that some of the local, I think it was Marco here earlier today that said you have to engage with the locals. And the locals, they actually have data and information and knowledge that we need in order to make these digital twins. And so in that sense, we are supporting the lighthouses by, starting some small twins, if you like.
Thank you very much, Bente. It's interesting when you mention insurance too, because I have lots we can follow up. But I still remember I used to present at the Trans-Arctic shipping conferences in the early days, and when it was all a little bit theoretical. And everybody knew it was really happening when all those highly paid insurance actuaries showed up. And everyone thought, hang on, there's a lot of money at stake here. And that was when things really started. So we always jump when someone mentions insurance. Owen, you head up the DTO in Ireland. And how can you describe to us that it fits within the EU, how you sort of work together and what you see for the future with it? Thank you, Owen. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Paul. So a very good question and some really interesting talks today. As I was listening, I took a few notes for context, and maybe just to read through a few of those notes. People mentioned science-based knowledge as a key enabler, citizen engagement and awareness, integration and cross-cutting programs regularly came up through the talks, developing our modelling capacity, scenarios, simulations and solutions, engaging with local communities, co-creation keeps being mentioned, innovation ecosystems, making our activities more visible. I think these broad areas are where digital twins can help. And certainly in the Irish context, that's what we've been doing for the past number of years. The Irish programme is called Ireland's Digital Ocean, and it was established in 2016. The aim was to make information more readily available to end users in ways that they can make use of. So that's critical. That engagement with end users and specific use cases was really the key. As we all know, there's more and more data being captured in our marine as well as elsewhere. And trying to make sense of this data is probably the biggest challenge, and trying to present it in a usable way to an end user to either better understand our marine area, which is going to be critical going forward, but also to make timely decisions. And we've heard about scenario modelling, simulations and so on, which can help with that. But even basic access to visual information on our marine can greatly help our understanding of it. So in the Ireland's Digital Ocean, we've developed capabilities and a network of data providers and partners where we connect data from multidisciplines across organizations, and we make that data available in easy to access and easy to use formats. So, for example, we've worked with the Infomar Seabed Survey Programme to provide 3D visualization of the seabed around Ireland. And that creates a real wow factor when users interact with that. We worked with Microsoft Technology to develop an augmented reality view of shipwrecks, for example. So while you're looking and standing at a shipwreck in front of you, you can walk around it, you can touch it, and information pops up. It's amazing the engagement with that sort of visual interactivity. So not only do we have expert users using our services in areas like ocean energy, where we provide a consolidated view of what's happening around Ireland for ocean energy companies, for example, but also we have extensive capabilities in outreach and engaging with the public so they understand what is happening in our marine spaces. We're also looking, Bente mentioned the aquaculture harmful algal bloom prediction area, and that's something we're actively working with as well to incorporate ESA satellite data, CMEMS, Copernicus model data, lots of observations, in situ observations, which are absolutely key to all of the modelling that happens, and to make that available to scientists, but also to aquaculture operators so they can make timely decisions about what to do with their fish farms and when to harvest and so on. So we've been looking at new applications in the area also of marine spatial planning, and we've recently developed a new application in aquaculture licensing, which has really had significant impact. So I think that it's a really good time for digital twins. We're in the EU digital decade. We're in the UN decade of ocean science. The mission is alive, up and running. There's a huge volume of activity, so digital twins can be a way of integrating communities, integrating what we do and how we do it, but presenting usable information to enhance understanding and to help with decision support in the marine area.
Great stuff. Yeah, well, thank you, Aaron. Well described. And it couldn't be better. You mentioned aquaculture. And then, David, that's your thing through your organisation, ETIP. And I wonder if you could just describe to us, what do you need? How do you go about it? What do you need from the stakeholders? What do you need from the aquaculture industry? And what do you expect,
Yes, of course, and thank you very much for the invitation and for the aquaculture sector to have the opportunity to comment at this. One of the advantages of coming slightly later on the agenda is that you can build on some of the things that have been mentioned already today. So we heard a very good intervention before the coffee break from EU4Algae on aspects of aquaculture. So let's think about it from the concept of aquaculture being fish farming, but also shellfish farming, algae farming. It takes place in fresh water as well as marine water. It can be land-based, recirculation units, offshore and exposed sites. So it's right across Mission Ocean and Restore Our Waters. It operates all across the mission. And we're looking at the production of food, but also of feeds, nutraceuticals, pharmaceuticals, blue bio-based technologies, also aquaculture in terms of habitat restoration and eco-services and nature-based solutions. So it's a very broad scope that we're looking at and how that can be used. Now, within the mission, we're looking at preventing and eliminating pollution, looking at making the blue economy more circular and carbon neutral, and looking at the development of zero carbon and low impact aquaculture. So how does the DTO actually engage with that, and how do we engage with the DTO? There are a number of areas where that's happening. As a tool for optimization, particularly, including prediction, monitoring, controlling and improving decision-making in the aquaculture production systems that exist. It can be used in how we design and operate and locate sites. The DTO can help achieve the goals of precision fish farming, which certainly the industry sees as very much the way that profitability and production will be improved and increased. And so here we're looking at observation, interpretation, and decision-making from that process, as well as de-risking the industry, as we've just been talking about a couple of minutes ago. It can look at how we advance modularity of multidisciplinary systems, tackling some of the real barriers that aren't being addressed by current modeling practices. So it's a breakthrough there. And we heard a very interesting talk, again, before the coffee break from Spiros when he introduced the blue economy. So it can look at co-design of aquaculture operations with other blue economy stakeholders. Increasingly, coexistence is something that we're emphasizing. Indeed, my organization, the European Aquaculture Technology and Innovation Platform, we're engaged in a Mission Ocean Lighthouse project looking at co-design of renewable wind energy with low trophic aquaculture production. So for that coexistence, marine space has never been more challenged. We're looking at increasing offshore and exposed locations. So the DTO has a key role to play in that. In general, with wider marine spatial planning aspects. There's a couple of points I would make. Not all the tools are in place, though, for the DTO with the aquaculture community. The DTO relies on data collection, observations, communication systems, process models, high computational power, as we've been considering. Aquaculture producers require very high resolution for what we need, and that's not always in place. I never miss an opportunity to make the point, as demonstrated in the STEC for economic reports, 80% of European aquaculture production are micro producers, not SMEs, but micro producers. And so getting that engagement with that large volume of small family businesses is a challenge. If you're a large vertically integrated company with data technology officers and a complex information services, yes, you can do it. But it's bringing those tools to the farmers that need it is important. As we've heard, warning systems for pollution events, algal blooms, extreme weather events, it's relevant and it's important, but how do we make that connection? But that isn't new. It's something we've worked on before. In the introduction, Mauro referenced EMODnet and Copernicus. We've worked, ETIP has worked and done various workshops and presentations with DG Mare, DG Defis, EMODnet and Copernicus looking at these points. So we know they exist and there is work that we'll continue to do. But yes, in short, it can aid coexistence in marine spatial planning, assist in adapting production to the carrying capacity of the aquatic ecosystem, allow for the appropriate scaling of the industry and the production structures, and assist in better selection of sites and zoning and suitable sites. So rapid overview
Bravo.
of how it can be very, very much active, beneficial and useful tool for our sector.
Well done indeed. Not an easy task. And then before we get to the second part of the question, there's something on my mind about the DTO. Is it the kind of artificial intelligence, machine learning, huge amount of data going in that either now, and you may be well ahead of me, no doubt you are, or in the future, is it the kind of thing that you can go into the modelling and put in all the things that we care about, you know, pollution, marine spatial planning with good granular detail, certain climatic events, what happens if we create large marine protected areas here, how we look at things such as debt for nature swaps, where's the value there that occurs with, like the Seychelles did with their ocean. And when we look at the value, so the general public love it when we say that in Palau, a dead shark is worth about £2.50, but a live shark is worth about 4 million, looking at the tourism industry. So when we look at all those models, I don't remember the BBC television programme Meltdown. We used loads of ensemble modelling to look at all of these potential events 10, 20, 30 years in the future. And they ran and ran and ran for thousands of models until we could make smart decisions on what the climate might do in the future. What if all the volcanoes go mad? What's going to happen? So with all of that and the blue economy, and if you stop trawling here or if you continue it there, is the digital twin ocean that sort of a format that all of this information can come in to help us predict in the short term where to do good marine spatial planning decisions and aquaculture, and in the longer term make really smart ocean conservation decisions? Thank you, Pierre.
I can start by saying that there is one move which is into this direction to really equip this super machine to what is needed. So super models, so what you described, this is something that we have. In some places, this is disconnected, so we will connect all these components. But if we want to reach the micro producers, I mean, there is many steps to reach that. This is really, really complex. So, okay, this is machine learning, but listen to this story, which is something a bit different. There are people that are looking about trying to understand the life of the turtles in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, this community. They are specialists of this. They don't understand why this family of turtles they go west in the Gulf of Mexico and not going to this like the others. Okay, this family. Super oceanographers. The other one, my family, they are looking at the currents, the loop current that start the Gulf Stream, and in some cases there is eddy shadings there. That's enough. Without a machine learning, this is people learning. You compare the two, and you understand that's because this family of turtles, when they were young, they were trapped into this eddy shading, so they went into this part of the Gulf of Mexico, and because they have this memory, they go back to this part. So just the fact that we will work all together comparing what we know and put this at the same place and facilitating inter-comparison, cross-checking our information will generate a new knowledge. So this is really by working together interdisciplinary and in this sense, this digital twin ocean is not only a technological super system, this is really a community project.
Great, thank you very much, Pierre. And we've just got 4 minutes and there's 4 of you, so a minute each if I can. With your final words, is there an element of what we've done in this short session for an enormous project that we've missed or gone off track? Or is there something you want to reinforce or amplify regarding how the mission fits, your digital twin ocean fits with the EU mission? So whoever, maybe Pierre, I started with you, so thank you.
Okay, if this is one word, I just want to say that we must accept as a community, as a group, that we are really setting up a new service, an operational service. This is not only a new project and new fancy things. We are developing something that will change the way we can serve this knowledge and create new things. So it means high-level investment, engineering, a frame, a community, all the kind of from SMEs to academic. And so this is really something that is, I believe, exemplary. And the ocean is so diverse that we need the diversity of the community for doing this. So what the mission Ocean is doing is great, but we must be aware that we are really building something which is exemplary and a real system, an operational system.
Thank you.
Service.
I suppose to summarize, I think digital twins can greatly help with our understanding of our marine environment and our marine spaces. And while it's a journey, I think even the initial steps will be very valuable in doing that.
Thank you, Owen. David?
Both with regards to the digital twin of the ocean and also to Mission Ocean itself, to answer both, to build on what I've just said, it can't be a concept, it can't be an idea, it has to be real, it has to be actual, and so I would say that knowledge transfer and impact to end users are essential. We know there are challenges. We've always known there are challenges. In every framework program, we've known there are challenges in transferring knowledge outputs, research outputs, and ensuring impact. But let's make sure that through the lighthouses, through the projects, through practical application of tools like the digital twin, we're actually conveying that knowledge, and where there are barriers, trying to address that, facilitate it, and break down those barriers.
Great stuff, David. Well said. And Bente?
Yes, there's a couple of things. We have mentioned citizens and citizen science, and oftentimes we think about that as providing data, etc. But it's also a way of engaging a larger community to implement the digital twin, to make the ownership through methods of citizen science, and this is part of the individual demonstrators that we have. And also, with all these fancy and very impressive resources that we have, innovation needs to take place as well, and it's in line with what you say, David, that we actually have to implement it. And innovation, we have an innovation booster helping both with knowledge, with connection with the finance part, with the policy, so connecting all of these dots in innovation booster. I think this is a key that will help binding it all together in support of the Mission Ocean.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you indeed, all four of you. You know, almost an impossible task to take the big thing, the digital twin ocean, and explain it in short bursts such as this. So thank you very much indeed, and well worth a bit of burnt toast and the porridge stuck to the bottom of the pan. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Who'd have thought that big data could be so much fun? Well done. Well done, Pierre. Thanks again, everybody. And I think I'm supposed to, there was a message to me that I can wait to the end to mention this, but I think we'll have to let people know. We found the ring. Amazing. So it's at the desk, and I'm sure they mean that, you know, the entrance desk, as it were, but we'll check on that. So if you're the person who's sweating about losing this ring, it looks like it's found. So that's a great omen, I think, as we begin to wrap up today. So now we're talking about people, you know, citizens at the heart of the mission. And to get us started on that, it's a great pleasure to introduce Sheila Hymans, who's the Executive Director of the European Marine Board, who's going to present a keynote and take us through that. Hi, Sheila. Thank you so much indeed. Thank you.
Speak close to the mics, it says, for those of you coming after me. So thank you very much. I'm so glad to see that there's still so many of you here, because in fact, I think the citizens is actually the baking powder of this cake that's the Mission Ocean. And if we don't have them, this cake is going to fall flat. So I think I'll leave you with that image. I will, I think I have 8 minutes, so let's see how it goes. There we go. All right, so I'm Sheila Hymans. I'm the Executive Director of the European Marine Board. The European Marine Board is a science policy organization that tries to bridge the gap between science and policy. And we do that in different ways. We do that by creating documents, and if you're interested, you can have a look at some of those. We also have some young scientists, and we have webinars if you're interested. But I guess the thing that is the most, I can't see my screen, there we go. The thing that is the most interesting for the people in this room is that we are also co-organizing the Erosion Conference with the mission. And if you're interested, you can follow the QR code. It is a science policy conference that will take place in Vigo in October. Another really important science citizen engagement that we do is the Embracing the Ocean Artist in Residence program. And this is actually a program that we've created under the banner of the Ocean Decade, but is also now a part of the mission. And through this program, the Marine Board actually sponsors 2 artists to work with scientists for a year by giving them 10,000 euros, which maybe is not so much money, but it's enough, and to basically come up with some inspiring ocean engagement. And what we saw this morning at the start is very similar to the work that Emily Ratelio is actually done with her dancers, specifically addressing mangroves, but also Michael Begg is working on a composition, and Lera Letelova from the Ukraine is actually doing some installation art about pollution in the Ukraine, which is and the Black Sea, which is very, very relevant here. So this is something that we've done, and I think there's a lot more that can be done in that sphere. But what I thought I would do is to take you through the 3 missions, and actually we heard quite a lot of good examples of how citizens have been and can be engaged with the 3 objectives of the mission, but I thought I would take you through some of the examples that I know of anyway. The first one is a project called WK Irish, which was a ICES project to basically co-create knowledge for better ecosystem management in the Irish Sea. And actually, quite a few people talked about co-creation and co-production of knowledge. But in this project, we actually worked with fishermen and specifically worked with fishermen to improve the data that goes into our models of what's happening in the Irish Sea. And actually, through this project, we've been able to improve the understanding of the models much better by actually including their data. So I think we have to be aware that there is other forms of data, and there is definitely a way to do that. Of course, the Marine Board has also brought out a document on how do you advance citizen science, so definitely worth having a look at that. Another objective of the mission is how do we prevent and eliminate pollution in our ocean. And actually, I think the Commission has done a really great job already by through the EU for Ocean program that I think the Commissioner mentioned, or maybe Shalisa mentioned this morning, through their Make EU Blue campaign, which started a few years ago. In fact, during the COVID crisis, I actually took that up, and as a citizen, you can really engage with that and try and find a way to highlight the importance of pollution. In this case, in 2021, I did a walk, and I actually recorded the amount of pollution I got and sort of made a little analysis. So there's definitely ways that citizens, other than scientists, nerdy scientists like me, have engaged with this. Specifically, the Proper Strandlopers, which is a Belgian group that's on Facebook, they have been doing this since 2017, and actually they are now under the UNESCO Green Project. They've been highlighted as a project. In 2022, they removed 95,000 liters of trash from the beaches of Belgium. If you remember that Belgium only has about 70 kilometers of beach, that's a lot of trash. So there are a lot of citizen engagement already, and we should really, with the mission, make sure that we engage with the citizens. The final one that I want to talk about is, how do we make the blue economy carbon neutral? Well, again, I think the Commission has done a great job with a Taste of Ocean program, where they're looking at sustainable fish and seafood. Obviously, some of the NGOs have worked on that and looked at, finding a way to make sure that people eat fish that's only sustainably caught. The Commission has also done quite a lot about algae. We've had quite a lot of work, quite a lot of information about that today. But again, in Belgium, there is a seaweed chef, which basically can take you out and show you how to pick seaweed, how to cook seaweed. And so citizens are already engaging with this, and we must make sure that we don't preach to the converted, so to speak. Another example is a EU project called Ecoscope, which is actually going to be creating an app that will enhance engagement with the public for sustainable fisheries management. So I will end with my last slide to give some lessons that I've taken from it. The first ones really come from that WK Irish project, which really looked at how do you engage with citizens, with fishermen in this case, to make sure that you get better ecosystem models. And what we found was you really need to co-design these projects with the citizens, but you need to do that from the beginning. This takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of trust building, and you can't do it in a 3-year project. That project had a scientist that had been working with fishermen for 10 years before the project started. So this is a long-term engagement, and we have to be aware of that. And they have to be involved through the whole process, not just at the beginning, not just at the end. We have to be sure that we don't just harvest knowledge, but that we actually share knowledge, and it's a co-production, a two-way process. Make sure that you take the information back to them, that they understand the value of the information that they've provided and how it's improved the work that you do. And it's often best if actually the citizens, the stakeholders request that in the first place. It's not something that as scientists or as the Commission we can make them do. They have to want to do it. So that's in a very specific case. I think if we want to think about how we engage citizens with the mission and with the ocean at large, we really need to make it understandable for them, and we need to give them achievable goals. This is why pollution and plastic pollution is such a great success story, because it's something they can do, it's something they can understand. So we have to give them achievable goals, and we have to give them solutions. And I think I will end with that and just say I'm happy to have any questions if people have, if you want to speak to me afterwards, over a beer.
Oh, great. Sheila, thank you so much. Thank you very much indeed. I love this kind of thing because it's something that everybody can get a hold of, whether you're a scientist or not. And it does stop that always speaking to each other thing. What about everybody else? And I particularly like these for the young ones coming up too. Because their values, they can put their values into something like this. And then those values are demonstrated, and then politicians, business leaders, other influential people look at these young ones coming up demonstrating the right values, thinking, well, if I want to stay in this job, I'd better get my set of values lined up. So thank you very much, Sheila. So now we have a panel on citizens' voices for restoring the ocean. So can I invite Johan Strid, Richard Sempier and Philip Ackerman to the stage, please. Thank you. Great. Hi, welcome. Thanks very much. Johan, good to see you again. Yeah. Okay. Well, great. So this is a good one for us because we're talking about the real people. How do we engage? And Johan, here we go. We're talking about the racing with a purpose. Ocean yacht racing, glorious thing to get involved with, exciting. How do you feel it contributes to the mission at large?
The Ocean Race, we are a round-the-world sailing competition. We are on track right now. Our boat started in Alicante in January and passed Cape Verde for a few days rest and are now in Cape Town. And from there they will continue circumventing the Antarctica, go up to Italy, Brazil, Newport, United States, down to Aarhus in Denmark, The Hague, and then end in Genoa by the end of June. One of the big things that we're doing, because the Ocean Race, we are one of the world's major sports competitions. We have a huge fan base. There are so many people that follows what we're doing. So we see it as our job to engage with that fan base, and both virtually on our media and so on. We have a good cooperation with Warner Bros. And so on to get out all across the world. But also in the stopovers. When we come to a town, there are hundreds of thousands of people coming to engage with the sailors and the yachts that are in the harbor. But also it's an opportunity for us to engage in a conversation with the people there. So we have lots of programs on citizen engagement, like we have a learning program for school children. We call it Generation Ocean to teach young people on that. And I think we are now up in 8 languages and over 200,000 students that have gone through this. which is amazing, I would say, and some really good people in that. And also, you saw that race route sort of around the world. We are sailing places where very few people are going. So our boats, they have scientific equipment to cater for, well, probably the digital twin of the ocean science to contribute with knowledge and facts that is in there. And finally, I think we talk about citizen engagement here. And one of the most important perspectives that we have as the Ocean Race is that we see the ocean as someone that should be recognized having inherent rights. So just imagine this conversation if the ocean was a citizen at the table, sitting here, engaging with you and me, Paul, and us on how can we do this together in the best way. So we have a major campaign called One Blue Voice. Yes, Google it, you find it, sign it on, because we are calling for a Universal Declaration of Ocean Rights, which is also making us a very unique sports competition. We have a solid policy goal. We want the world to accept the inherent rights of the ocean in a Universal Declaration of Ocean Rights.
Wow, fantastic, Johan. Very well said indeed. Thank you. Exciting business, ocean yacht racing. I'll come back. Richard, we talk about the Mediterranean as a future. Could you take us through the project, please? Thank you.
Yes, I will give you some information related to the mission.
Yes, please. Thank you.
That were developed at the Aix-Marseille University. And so we start with the first event, and Aix-Marseille University and the Department of Interdisciplinary Action, let's say, organized a festival for art and sciences last September, and the topic was the Mediterranean Basin, Mediterranean Sea, and the title was the Mediterranean Sea as a Future. So it was very interesting and an occasion to gather people from different environments. So during this festival, for 2 days, the festival brings together people from laboratories, research centers, students, but also people from cultural services or artists or national formation or national organization from Marseille city area. And they have to work together on some topic and exchange ideas. And it was very interesting because, for instance, they had to understand the complexity of the marine world, let's say. So by using an interdisciplinary and, let's say, intersectorial dialogue, which was very interesting because they had a different approach on the same topic, and it was very interesting to have different approach and different ideas to have a look on one topic. And finally, I can say that this festival induced, of course, communication between people from different environments, but also the beginning of some solution. And different fields, for instance, the impact of climate change on the coastal erosion, the change of biodiversities, the development of marine wind farms, the marine protected area, and also the migration of population, for instance. So it was very interesting to have this different point of view and different methodology also to tackle a point and a research point. It was also the opportunity during this festival, which was organized by Marilyn Crivello and Flore Donchez from the interdisciplinary department of the university. It was the occasion also to launch the concept of the University of the Sea that we have in Aix-Marseille University. It's still a project, but we would like in this University of the Sea gather people, of course, like in the festival, people from university, research centers, but also people from private company and NGOs or different associations. And they will have to work on also different education and research projects. And Aix-Marseille University received some national funds to launch the study of this project. And people start by initiating a kind of collaborative digital platform to map the marine activities or maritime sectors in the Aix-Marseille area, which is the first step, of course, if we want to develop this activity. I have to say also that which is in line also with the mission, that we are going to organize by next April what we call the Ocean Day, which is an event organized by the Ocean Science Institute And this Ocean Day will gather students, professors from the university, but also people, again, from private company and sector. And we hope that this will help for students to find internship for master degree, for instance, PhD thesis, and probably also to set up different new research projects, probably with a higher TRL level, which is not always the case in the university. And just to finish, I would like to say that, of course, we try to increase the communication between disciplines, but also between countries. So all are in line with the mission. And I have my colleagues also from NTNU University here. And as you know, maybe we launched the European Ocean Alliance for Research and Education last December in the European Parliament. And it is also an occasion to communicate in marine sciences for research and education with this approach, and also between different cultures from different European countries.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Philip, plastic pirates, you have to love a name like this. Tell us about it, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Paul. I'm really happy to be here, so thank you that we get the opportunity to represent the Plastic Pirates here and the entire Plastic Pirates crew, which are the local partners in all of the countries currently doing the Plastic Pirates. But the actual crew, I have to make sure to mention those, are the young citizens participating in the initiative and the project. So, what are the Plastic Pirates? We are talking quite a lot about this project, which is absolutely great. So let me explain them to you in short words. So it is a citizen science initiative where young citizens in the age of 10 to 16 go to a nearby waterway, a river or a beach, and collect waste, particularly plastic waste. They analyze it, they categorize it, and they document their findings. They also deploy a microplastic net into the water for 1 hour to catch microplastic and waste that is flowing down the water, the river or the waterway or at the beach. They upload the data to a database and send the net to a research institute, and the scientists then analyze the findings. Later on, which was already said, it's very important also to communicate with the teachers and with the school children on a regular basis what their data actually contributed in terms of research. So that is very important. So yeah, on the question what we are actually and how we are contributing to the Mission Ocean, I think it's rather obvious in terms of public engagement. We managed to really expand the Plastic Pirates from just 1 country to 3 countries, and now we are at 11 European countries, which is also our task within the Mission Ocean, upon many others. And yeah, so that is really great. And just in the past 7 months, when we started the Europeanization of the project, we managed to have over 283 samplings and engaging at least 4,000 school children. And I'm not even talking about the friends that they've been talking about, the teachers, and the family that they've been talking about this project. So it's really, really great in terms of raising awareness, mobilizing, and doing this citizen engagement on a day-to-day and really direct approach, basically. And the second one, of course, is the data that we're actually collecting, and this is just a great treasure in terms of shedding light on possible sources of plastic waste, how much is flowing down the river, and to really achieve the objective goal and to contribute to the goals of the Mission Ocean to reduce plastic waste and microplastic by 2030.
Thank you very much, Philip. Well, thank you all three. And then, before we get into some detail, this must be one of the best investments we can make when we're, investing in, resources, money, education, communication, you name it, into the general public at large. Particularly something that's accessible for people who typically wouldn't have an interest, say, in science, but it's so accessible. And you three represent that in spades, as we say. And in the early days of citizen science, there was a problem where people contributed to something and the data disappeared. And then there was always this question, well, I've done this, I've done that, I've counted birds, I've looked at weeds, I've collected all the plastic. I've done it, and then sort of get back home and you're ready for something to happen. Now I know things have moved on now, but how do you describe to a family or individuals who normally don't have much interest in science, who put the effort in, and then they're along, how do you get back to say, here's where your data went, here's what it did, and how quick can you do that so it's not lost? And how can you measure that? Is there a way?
Yeah, happy to answer that question, or at least try, of course. In terms of citizen science, so the one approach we have, for example, with the Plastic Pirates is that the data that is uploaded to the database first appears on an interactive map. So every school children can look up, okay, how have we contributed? Is our little pin on the map, does it actually appear? Is the data that we collect actually the ones that we put into the database? And to really have the connection there. So that's the initial step. The second one that we are thinking about right now and working on is to really explain to them, okay, as soon as you upload the data, what happens next? What is going to happen with it? What do the researchers actually do with it? And we are thinking of ways how to do that. One, for example, is a video really explaining, okay, after you've uploaded this is what is going to happen to each of the steps, maybe even as an example of a very concrete data set of a school. And also to have the visualization afterwards, as soon as we have verified the data and looked at it again, that the school children learn, okay, this is your contribution, and this is also what comes out of it in terms of really understandable communication to the ones that are actually doing the citizen science. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Fantastic. Johan?
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much, because that was excellent. And I think that from our point of view, we work a lot on excitement, emotional relationships, because it's one thing to get the feedback, but I think one key question for us is to engage people in doing good for the ocean. I mean, our citizen science is our sort of yachts sailing around the world, so it's not that many people involved in that specific part of it. But by using that exciting imagery of sailors in the Southern Ocean making scientific samples is something that could really trigger people to think. But if even these super athletes, super professional sportsmen and women take the time to contribute to science, I can do that as well. And I also think that, again, I'm back to what we got, raising with purpose. If you have that excitement, you create a sense of purpose and a sense of belonging to the cause of what you are doing. And there we feel that the idea of recognizing the ocean as an entity, a citizen, some entity with inherent rights that we should respect in the same ways that we respect human rights or corporate rights or whatever kind of rights, creates a wish to contribute.
Thank you. Pierre, do you have a comment on that?
Just a quick comment about plastics and citizen science. Yes, of course, I completely agree. I think it's very important to develop citizen action for plastics, and we do it for instance, in the GPI project Andromeda, in which I'm working, and we have some colleagues from Malta University or Ireland Cork University who are very involved in such citizen action. So this is very important, but not only for knowledge, but also because this can help to motivate all the society. Because really, if you want to tackle the problem of plastic, it's not only observation. We have to develop retention, prevention, maybe new materials, and change completely the policy of plastics. So I think for this, citizens and young people also are probably better than scientific people sometimes to communicate on this topic, or at least they can help us to do this.
Thank you. Excellent. And then 3 minutes left, 3 of you, 1 minute each on where we've missed, what needs to be amplified. Your last words that you want everybody to go home with, 1 minute each. Philip?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I can just make the case again for citizen science and the tremendous potential that it has in terms of really engaging with citizens and showing to them what science can actually do for their daily lives. And we shouldn't really underestimate the effect that it has also, not only on the ones that are participating, but also what they tell to their friends, to family, to everybody that they see. And really, if it's such a great experience and really understanding what is going on there, then it is just great as an enabler, exactly, and especially also for the Mission Ocean.
Yeah.
Yes, just a message also is that, as I said before in the first part of the discussion, I really believe that, for instance, in the Aero Alliance that we try to launch and to develop at European level, because I think interdisciplinarity is crucial to tackle scientific problems, but also we have to avoid fragmentation of resources at European level and really to develop network between university research center at European level. And so this is, I think, something we have to develop, maybe to have in the future a kind of marine agency at European level. I don't know, but I think we have to put some effort in this direction.
And Johan, over to you, sir.
Yeah, well, you know, we received a phone call here earlier today. Do you remember that? We received a phone call from the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
And my thinking is that we should answer that. We should grab that phone here and start to talk. And not only to talk, but to transfer this conversation into some true action for the ocean. We know what to do. It's not that difficult to understand what we have to do with it. The difficult part is to actually do it. So that's what we're going to do. Answer the call from the ocean, say, yes, we understand. Come on, guys, let's go, get on work and get things done.
Bravo. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much. The three great panelists there. Philippe, Pierre, Johan. Thank you. Thank you. Good fun, man. Thank you, Pierre. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we've seen other people do a lot of great work up on this stage, and now we all have to do some work. Because it's a quiz run by Marla. Now, I can't see Marla. Is Marla here? Yes. Thank you very much. And Marla is from Nausicaa National Sea Centre. So there's a quiz here. Is this going to be terribly embarrassing for all of us? Over to you.
Hello, everyone, distinguished guests. I hope that your day is going very well. I was invited here today to quiz you, and for that, I will need you to take your phone out. And if you can, choose the Wi-Fi Fine Arts Museum. Once you've done that, you can scan the QR code that's going to be right behind me on the Slido page. Yeah, so you can scan this QR code and it will lead you to another page, a Slido page, and it's going to be with this that we're going to do the quiz. So I'll wait a few seconds for you to do so. So once I will start the quiz, you will be asked to put your name. Please put your full name, so name and surname inside the application. That way we know who won, because there might be some prizes to win at some point. So we have to know who won. Is everyone good with this?
Wi-Fi can't cope. Too many.
Oh, then 4G, I guess. We'll try to make it work. Yeah, if it doesn't work with the Wi-Fi, just go back to your 4G. We have a few people here. Just waiting a few more minutes. 67 participants so far. It's not. I think we can do a little bit more. 74. $90. Will we go to 100? No, I guess it's 94. 95. Okay, let's go to the warm-up question. We've been sitting in the dark for quite a long time today, so now it's time to shake things up a little bit. So, the first question for this quiz is, what is the name of the mechanical great white shark used in the movie Jaws? Patrice, Bruce, or Rick? You have a few seconds to answer. That's a hard one. All right, let's have a look at the answer. Wow, I wasn't expecting as many good answers at that. 70% of people knew that. So Bruce is actually the name of this robot. And it was named after Steven Spielberg's lawyer called Bruce Rammer. Yeah. And then other fun facts. You know Finding Nemo movie? There is a great white shark, and it's called Bruce. But this one is a vegetarian and wants to be friends with fish. And I think there is a clue in the movie when he says, "I'm a nice shark, not a mindless eating machine." Yeah. Okay, so now we've all warmed up. Let's go for the Mako quiz. Why Mako quiz? Because you know, I'm sure you know it, but the Mako shark is the fastest shark in the world, and his top speed is 80 kilometers per hour. So that's going to be a timed quiz this time. You will have 3 questions, ranked from very easy to very hard, and you will have to answer as fast as you can. They're not really hard. That's not the point. It's just rapidity. We will have some winners at the end, and they will go home with some amazing prizes that I will give at the end of the day. Are you ready? Okay. The topic is algae. Let's go for the first question. Be ready. It's going to be very fast. Which algae category does not exist? A, green, B, red, or C, yellow? You have a few seconds more. Okay, just a few seconds. This one is really hard too. And the answer was yellow. We almost have a full room of algae specialists, 84% of good answers. Let's go to the second one. I think this one you will know it because someone said it earlier. How much oxygen comes from phytoplankton activity? 42%, 50%, or 63%? We should have 100% in this one. Don't worry, the answers are completely anonymous, so we won't know who's wrong in this question. Yeah, not 100% good. So the right answer was 50%. And let's go for the third question. What is the chemical equation for photosynthesis? I won't say it, I just let you read it. A few more seconds. And the answer was number 1. So you had the O2 as a clue over there on the right side of the equation. So yeah, 62% of a good answer for this one. I think we all deserved a round of applause. Now it's the interesting part. Who will go home with a few gifts? Let's have a look at the leaderboard. Only the 3 first names to pop up will have something. So we have Ida, we have Olivier, and Sylvia. Round of applause for you. So you can meet me at the registration desk after the closing ceremony. I will be here with your gifts, and you can recognize me with my beautiful sweater that reminds the sea. Okay, I'm not done. There's another quiz waiting for you, but this one doesn't have any timer, so you can win. All of you can win. First question, change of topic. What is blue carbon? A new energy discovered in deep sea. B, a French cheese. Or C, the carbon stored in marine ecosystems. All right, let's have a look at the answers. Even though it could be a great name for a French cheese, it's not the right answer. It's the carbon stored in marine ecosystems. Previous generation thought that tropical forests were the most efficient carbon sink, but in fact, marine ecosystems for an equivalent surface are 4 times more efficient at storing carbon. So yeah, very important to protect. We actually asked the same question in our National Sea Center in the north of France, Nausicaa, to our visitors, and we have the answers that we got from our visitors. In this room full of specialists, we have 98% of success for these answers. Let's go to the presentation. Yep. So we can see that for a general public not very familiar with marine ecosystems or ocean in general, we have still 50% of good answers. All right, let's go back to Slido. Second question. Blue carbon was first discovered in A, mangroves, B, seagrasses, and C, all of the above. And the answer was all of the above. So marine ecosystems such as mangroves, seagrasses, or salt marshes were found to have photosynthetic activity. In fact, protecting these marine ecosystems are called a nature-based solution, using a natural solution to fight an ecological issue. And let's have a look to the presentation. We had 44% of good answers with our visitors. So kids and adults, all included. Okay, let's go back to the Slido now. Then the third question, what initiative has boosted phytoplankton? A, artificial fertilization of the ocean. B, strengthen the protection of whales. And C, a daily minute of applause to encourage phytoplankton. And the answer was, I'm going a little bit fast because I see my time's up very soon. So the answer is the first, strengthen the protection of whales. Yeah, whales already fertilize the ocean with their excrements. By strengthening the protection of whales, we ensure to boost phytoplankton activity. It's a nature-based solution as well. Let's have a look to our visitors' answers. Yeah, good answer for them, 54%. So this quiz called Ocean 2150, What If All Went Fine, is a quiz that we have on display in Nausicaa every day, all day in the year for our visitors. So that way we can collect answers and know what they know about the ocean and what they understand of the ocean. It's also a great tool to use, for example, for market studies. In Nausicaa, we have a place called the Blue Society Forum, where you have tablets and you can answer questions. Used also by our Blue Living Lab, which is an incubator for startups working on blue economy. So they can create quiz and ask our visitors what they think about such and such topics to have a market study on their topic or a customer behavior pattern. But the quizzes are also great to talk about citizen engagement. We can have more open questions like the one I'm going to show you next on Slido. For example, it was the last question of the quiz, and imagine you're in 2150 and you're looking back at 2022. Archaeologists discovered your mobile phone. They know now that you were among the first to commit yourself to the future of the planet and its inhabitants, because in 2022, you have tried to find out more about what was threatening whales on the high seas, made a donation to a project of mangrove reforestation supported by Nausicaa, took action to protect a local sea marsh or beach, and for other. Let's have a look at the answers in this room. Can we roll down the Slido page? That way we can see all the results. Yeah. So I guess that in this room you are more into action. So that's great, because that's why we're here today. And I think if we have a look at our visitors' answer, it's a little bit different. They were more into donation, money donation. Yeah, so yeah, that's why quizzes are great. You can talk about biodiversity in a fun and engaging way for all ages. You can engage the public by opening a dialogue on citizen engagement or ocean protection. And you can have a better understanding of trends, tendencies, and behaviors of the people out there. That way we don't work on our just on our corner, but we engage with everyone. That's what's important now to protect our ocean, and that's what we've heard so much today. Working together is the key for all of this. I would like to end by saying that this quiz has been submitted under the Mission Charter, and I was very happy to be here today. I hope you had a very nice break with this quiz, and my time is up. So thank you very much, and have a great day.
Great. Thank you very much, Marla. Thank you. It's good fun. It's a nice way of gaining a slightly different perspective on what people really know and where the challenges are. Thank you very much indeed. Well, we're now into the closing session, and we've got 5 great people to help us close it down. It's not easy on a project like this to go, well, how do we actually close this? So I guess we better get on with it. And the first is to let me introduce Ashok Adisiem, who is going to speak on behalf of the French government. So Ashok, could you take the stage, please? Thank you, Ashok. Thank you very much. Welcome. Thanks for coming at the last minute too. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was not really expected, but it was not a last-minute call for me to come here. First, to thank you all for having participated in the EU Commission, and to Pascal Lamy and Geneviève in particular, supporting just a year ago, we were all together in Brest for the One Ocean Summit at the initiative of President Macron and his special envoy Olivier Porte d'Arvor, whom I'm representing since then for the ocean. And a year after, we are here together in this wonderful mission, Restore Our Ocean and Waters, and I was here to listen to all what you have been doing and you are going to do. As far as we're concerned, and we all are concerned, we hope to build with you our next rendezvous, which is at Nice for the next UN Ocean Conference, which will be in June 2025. So before that, we have a lot of work to do with you, the French government, with our partner Costa Rica, and the UN, where we'll be next week. A year ago, the EU and the Commission launched the High Ambition Coalition for BBNJ, and we have this crucial rendezvous next week. So congratulations for all the strength that you have been giving to all the member states, and we're so proud to be aligned with the prerogatives that you have been and the actions that you've been conducting for this crucial moment. 2022 was a crucial year for the ocean. We're very happy that it concluded in Montreal with this fantastic biodiversity framework, which was signed by all the countries. Now it's for us, countries, but also the EU, to see how do we implement it. And again, 2025 within the UN conference will be very crucial. So all your initiatives, all the projects that we've been listening to today will be very important for us as now in charge for the organization of the next UN conference to listen, because we are launching a process now that we got the official mandate of the UN with Costa Rica. The process is to conduct a large consultation. So we want to consult first the EU and work within the EU for us to gather in 2025, strengthened by your force and the forces that we can, with Costa Rica, join for the next UN conference. So congratulations first to all of you, and thank you for having us today during this day. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Ashok. Nice that you came at the last. Very good, thank you. And now I'd like to invite Pascal Lamy, who is the chair of the mission board. Pascal, where are you, sir? Here he is. Thanks, Pascal. Over to you, sir. Wherever you would like. Well, sit down, take a seat. Perfect. There you go, sir.
Okay, good evening to everybody. We've been here since this morning, and let me try, on behalf of the mission board, to share with you a few points that came to my mind as I was listening, talking, and thanks to the organizers for having arranged long breaks, which is a very favorable occasion for interconnection and socializing. So, a couple of simple points. First, what strikes me is how much you've all demonstrated that a mission is something different from a traditional EU program. A mission is something different, it's something more than a traditional EU program. First, because it is specific, there is a target, in this case, restoring the EU ocean and waters by 2030. Second, because this endeavor has to be understandable to a large public. It has to connect with public opinion, which, frankly speaking, is not the problem for most of the other EU programs. And third, because this way of getting results must involve a much larger variety of stakeholders than the usual suspects that benefit from EU money through various programs. And in order to summarize this difference, I think if it's a program, there is one question, which is, what can the program do for me? If it's a mission, there are two questions. Number one is, what can the mission do for me? And number two is, what can I do for the mission? And this is the major difference between a classical, traditional way of doing and this innovation which missions represent, and which in many ways you have demonstrated during this day of work. Second point is that this innovation, this new way of EU trying collectively to reach a very ambitious target raises several challenges, like any innovation, and that we are at a stage where we are not sure to succeed. At this stage of the implementation phase of the mission, which is the real crux of the matter, it was great brainstorming as we did it with the first mission board about what the mission should be, what the target should be, what the 5 legs of the starfish would be. And we've heard very much about the content of this today. It's another thing to get things done through the implementation which we now are in. And what you've said and what we've realized within the board of the mission is extremely coherent. What you said and what we've, for instance, said yesterday when we had the mission board here in Brussels is extremely coherent, and we have a series of challenges which we have to address, and whether or not we properly address them will make, at the end of the day, the difference between success and failure. So we all have in mind that these missions are not sure to succeed. They will succeed if a number of conditions are met. One issue and one big challenge is communication. Given the wide public we need to connect with, we have a specific communication problem which a usual Commission action does not have. And this is why, by the way, we invented the starfish during the first mission board to try and give a sense of emotional connection with what we are trying doing. Second, of course, is mobilization. We need a much wider mobilization from the people, citizens, and this is why the Charter and the lighthouses have been put in place in a way to decentralize the action, but we also know that we need top guns, top politicians in member states, in the Commission to engage. And this mobilization cannot be one-sided. It's not just with politicians, but it's not just by people on the ground. And this connection is extremely important for us in the mission board, because we need to look at the two sides of the coin. And what I learned today, listening to you, is that we have a big asset already before we really start implementing the new phase of the mission, which we are doing. We have a big asset is that many of you have already been involved in depollution, in marine protection, in the blue economy, in sustainable aquaculture. We are not starting from scratch. There are lots of local initiatives which already exist and which we can synergize, coalesce, and beef up at a higher level. Third challenge which this way of doing things raises is a challenge of organization administration. This is mainly a challenge for the Commission, and we've lengthily discussed this yesterday with the Commission during the board meeting. These platforms need a specific infrastructure which is not there in normal programs. So in a way, the Commission has to invent a new way to simplify the sort of support which the mission is there to give to local initiatives. You sign a charter, you join a platform, and then what's in there for me? How can I help connecting? How can I group with other people? Which sort of funding will I benefit from? This issue is absolutely crucial and will probably be one of the reasons why we will, at the end of the day, succeed or fail. Last challenge, which hasn't appeared that much today, but which we mentioned in the board yesterday, which is the challenge of internalization. Restoring the EU hydrosphere, as I say, ocean and waters, cannot be disconnected from what happens outside the EU. On a sort of first circle, which is the surroundings of the EU, north, south, east, west, and there is quite a lot of that will need to happen in the lighthouses, but also on a larger geographical scope, which is outer regions, such as the Pacific, the Indian Ocean, the Caribbean, where the EU countries have a physical presence. So this is to come, and it's absolutely obvious, and it appeared slightly in the workshop on the digital twin. Having an EU digital twin is great, but having a global digital twin is the real solution to this science gap which has been identified, including here today. So those are, I think, what I get from what you said in various formats. At the end of the day, and I wholeheartedly agree with what John Bell and Sienkiewicz and Kęstutis Saudargas said at the beginning. At the end of the day, what will make the difference is whether or not we have impact and demonstrable, displayable results in 2023. Remember that the political cycle in the European Union is a 5-year cycle. The next parliamentary elections are in May 24. We are at the end of the existing cycle, and we need to be able to start the next cycle, the one 25-29, and 29 is very near to the 23, which is the time horizon of the mission. We need to start it with a good dynamic, and the good dynamic will be, in my view, whether or not we, at the end of 2023, can line up demonstrable results of your mobilization. And I will finish by this sentence which we heard from Sheila a moment ago, which I liked a lot, because this is sort of the very definition of what missions are. Citizens are the baking powder of missions. Thanks for your attention.
Great. Great stuff, Pascal. Thank you very much. I like that. This is just what we need. We need these moments to sort of capture what's been going on and launch us ahead. So thank you very much, Pascal. And now, Tonino. Tonino Piccolo, Chair of the Intergroup for Seas, Rivers, Islands and Coastal Areas, European Parliament. Tonino, over to you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you once again, and good evening to all after this long and productive day. I wish to for bringing us all together. I hope this is just the first of many annual forums dedicated to the mission of restoring our ocean and waters. Thank you for inviting me to bring European Parliament's perspective on how we can get citizens as the main actors at the heart of this mission. Before answering that question, allow me to briefly present CIRICA, European Parliament Intergroup for Seas, Coastal Areas, Islands and Rivers. This is our third legislative mandate, and oceans have been an essential pillar of many of our actions over the years. Today, I'm addressing you on behalf of 106 colleagues, members of European Parliament, affiliate to 6 political groups from across the political spectrum, and had been elected in 22 member states. I wish also to thank DG Mare for their continuous support and great cooperation. I'm happy to share this stage with other honorable speakers. I believe that the synergy of all the EU and national institutions is very important, but the involvement of citizens is essential for success of the mission. Here, the European Parliament has a particular responsibility as we directly represent the citizens. Regarding the activities of CIRICA, in the previous mandate, a number of events were organized in the framework on ocean literacy, and a pilot project on plastic labs was developed as well. During this mandate, we continued our activities, organized several events on oceans, with more to come in the last year of our mandate. In fact, we have also one of our vice presidents appointed as CIRICA Vice President for Ocean Literacy and Biodiversity. Involvement and awareness of citizens on maritime issues via ocean literacy incentives is a central issue for our intergroup. Coming back to the original question on how can European Parliament bring citizens as main actors at the heart of this mission. Starting answer could be by promoting ocean literacy and creating awareness of the link between the green and the blue, between terrestrial and the maritime. We need a blurring off the lines between terrestrial and the maritime. This means also at all levels of policy making. These are many good initiatives regarding awareness raising via formal education, such as embedding ocean awareness in school curricula. These are important initiatives, and the bottom-up nature of ocean literacy must not be overlooked. Just one example. Tourism accounts for 20% of the blue economy. Ocean-literate tourists could have a positive benefit on the greening and sustainability of the sector, particularly on very fragile situations on European islands. Ocean literacy could equally lead to new blue vacation on island, which in turn could lead to job creation and sustainability of the blue economy on islands. However, mainstreaming awareness at all levels will require policymakers to consider how they are bringing positive change. It's not just about the citizen, but about ocean-aware policymakers, researchers, and business from coastal communities. I personally believe in a blue impact assessment of the new European Union policies. This can encourage policymakers to be ocean-aware. Equally, research and innovation actions, where possible, should always include an ocean literacy component. The EU Green Deal, the new industrial strategy, or the revised Maritime and Fisheries Fund reflects the European Union's awareness of the great possibilities offered by the seas and ocean. These opportunities are key drivers for the sustainable economic growth of the European Union territories. The full potential of the EU climate ambitions cannot be realized without complete understanding of the role played by maritime sectors and marine environment. They contribute to sustainability goals, protection of biodiversity, and emissions reductions. The sea has the potential to provide sustainable food and feed, and ocean-based solutions could close the emission gap by some 20%. New blue skills can also harness the potential of renewable energies. While the European Parliament continues to take action on several different maritime policies on a sectorial level, the CIRICA Intergroup works to ensure that Europe of the seas remains a major, cross-cutting, and well-identified issue. We take into account the links between environmental sustainability, maritime industrial policy and transport, research, ocean literacy, exploitation of marine living resources, and bring the citizens into heart their take on all. To conclude, I wish to reaffirm to everyone that the Syrica Intergroup will continue to stimulate debates and promote concrete actions in support of the comprehensive approach to ocean-related policies. Of course, we are inspired by your mission and honored to continue our cooperation and contribute to this success. Thank you.
Great stuff, Tonino. Thank you so much indeed. It's always good, I think, for all of us to hear, messages from, Parliament. We're being led, and it's from the top. Thank you very much indeed. Now, Matthias Rust will join us, who's the head of the Maritime Sector, Ministry of Infrastructure and the Swedish Presidency. Matthias, welcome. Thank you very much.
Well, coming so late in the day gives me a couple of, it's challenging from many perspectives. And one is, of course, that I stand between you and the drinks. Secondly, is that there's sort of with so many distinguished speakers in front of me that I've been speaking previously today, there's sort of a minefield of repetition in front of me that I have to avoid. And lastly, listening to all of you, it's so inspiring. So I've been sort of scribbling on my notes that I can hardly see what I've been meaning to say in the first place. But I would like to say that if the EU integrated maritime policy was a baby in 2007, I think we're about to leave university about now. Before, when it was growing up, we still called it sustainable blue growth. Now this creature have evolved into a much more complex creature that we call sustainable blue economy that deal with all aspects of sustainability. And this fairly mature student is now about to leave university and venture out and get a real job, a sustainable job, mind you. And when you're about to leave the fairly sheltered life of university, then you need to start thinking about your own finance. Before, you might have had some support from that direction or somewhere else, maybe your parents, but now you have to think about getting your own economy to really work and to sustain you without the support from somewhere else. And there's where we are a little bit now with the sustainable blue economy, that we know a lot. We know roughly where we need to go to get the ocean that we want, but we still need to find a way to make our present activities environmentally sustainable, or to make those known environmental sustainable activities also economically sustainable or economically viable. And that is no easy job, but the Mission Ocean and Water have an important role to play here, to support all these good ideas, to develop towards a truly sustainable, towards truly sustainable activities that can sail on their own. And this reflects to an extent the work that we do in the European Council. And I'm saying this as a perspective from the Working Party for Maritime Issues, which I'm chairing right now during the Swedish presidency. And it deals with all the kind of horizontal issues that handle broad maritime issues that falls a little bit in between the other topical working parties, like fisheries and shipping. And Charlina, you were speaking previously about the importance of integration, and that is just what this working party is about. And that can be a challenging mindset for governments, because ministries are most often fairly made in silos to sort of support the minister on top. And the ocean, who knows no boundaries, is often smeared out across many of these silos, and the silos are different in different member states. So sometimes you have a difficulty to reach out to colleagues as well, and to grasp large topic like mission oceans or DTO. But governance is a man-made construct. The ocean is not. So we need to adjust to the ocean, because as we know, if the ocean adjusts to us, it's rarely a good thing. I would like just to say something short about the Swedish presidency. We, in the Working Party for Maritime Issue, we were actually hoping this spring to be able to negotiate the Ocean Observations File, which is a piece of the puzzle to bring all the sort of data and knowledge that we have been talking about today. And that file is still not published, but I just want to say that we are still eager to take it on, should it be so, during this spring. Also, I've reached out across silos and talked to the Ministry of Education, and they for this presidency, they want to promote an open exchange of knowledge and data within the European research area and accelerate the transition to open science. And they are about to negotiate council conclusions on scientific publishing system to be adopted at the Competitiveness Council meeting this May. And in our working party, we have been working closely with the Commission to try to grasp these horizontal matters. And during our first meeting, we invited the Commission to talk about Mission Ocean. And our second meeting, which was actually yesterday, we invited the Commission as well, again, to talk about DTO, the Digital Twin Ocean, and a couple of other horizontal issues. Because we feel that now these questions are starting to be so mature and so advanced that it's crucial that the Commission and the Member States have a space to talk, to have a continuous discussion. And I must say that during the discussion we had yesterday, you could really sense in the room an eagerness, lots of questions, but also a really supportive, many of the comments were very supportive. So I'm really looking forward how this could develop together. Lastly, I would like to just pick up on a few things that Commissioner Virginius was talking about. He was talking about the ocean literacy and citizen engagement. And I would just like to highlight that in Sweden we have now developed a national strategy on ocean literacy. It's now finished and the work can begin in earnest. And one of the things that we will do is trying to measure the ocean literacy of Swedes. And whatever the results will be, I think it could spark quite interesting discussion, especially in time when you can see trends. And just before Christmas, we took a decision about our ocean and water research program. And I just would like to say that in that program, we have specifically been stating that we should seek opportunities to find synergies with the Mission and Ocean and Water program. So I hope that we could find much synergies in the time to come. Well, knowledge and indicators aside, it's the activities that's either sustainable or not. And what we do need to clearly link to clear incentives for activities to become sustainable. And I hope that we could reach further in that sense in the years to come. Thanks a lot.
Great stuff, Matthias. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
My glasses.
Yes, okay.
I don't want to fall down on my way back.
Yes, no kidding. Know the feeling. And now it's a great pleasure to invite Charlena Vicheva back onto the stage, please. Charlena, Director General, DG Maritime Affairs and Fisheries, European Union. And it's to you to close everything, Charlena. Have fun.
So, it's very difficult to wrap up a rich event, especially when it is the first of a kind. So I'm not going to take this challenge because many of the speakers were telling a lot from what has been going today. My first task is to send a big thank you to everyone that is here, to everyone that is still online on a Friday evening, but very much committed to the ocean. We need you, and I'm happy that we are in this exercise, in this project, all together. What I can say is that it is not so difficult, because when you look at all the interventions, we are having quite an alignment among all EU institutions. There is no fight there. Among all the stakeholders, no fight there. So this alignment is extremely encouraging. It's promising. We heard extremely high support from the political hierarchy of the Commission, of the Parliament, of the Council, just listening to the Swedish presidency. So there is no divergence on how important the ocean is, on how useful and promising this initiative can be. So we are lucky. But still, any new project needs a lot of energy at the start. And I will not forget the first months when I was going on every mission that I had, and I was spending at least 1/3 of my time there, no matter on what occasion I was visiting a member state, to explain about the Mission Ocean. And I observed how every next time I see more and more eyes that understand what I'm talking about. So we are really today at a different stage. We accept that Mission Ocean is there, it can contribute, and we can all benefit if it turns successful. I want to thank everyone that participated in panels. The discussion was very rich. My colleagues were trying to take note of everything, and you will get the outcome in writing, in reporting. I'm extremely happy also, and I congratulate everybody that participated in the exhibition. It was a success as well. That means that everyone here is not only interested and eager to show what exactly he or she is up to, but also eager to observe the others and potentially link up projects. And also, I'm extremely happy that there was this uplifting spirit that keeps us going. So thank you very much, dear friends of the ocean. I've heard a lot of highlight words. Local. Indeed, we have to remain local. We have to translate global agendas into local action. So we have to always take into account the specificities of where we are. And I think that the framework as such, with the sea basin lighthouses, is giving the opportunity to go local. And we can go even further down to municipality, to cities. Coastal cities can be a huge driver of change. I would like also to praise the understanding and also the campaigning behind the ocean literacy, and everybody was quite aligned on the importance of having ocean literacy at the core of engaging with the young people. What else to say? As I said, I'm not going to wrap up in terms of content. Probably just to take some of the messages from Pascal Lamy. He said that we need more communication. And not only more, but also targeted communication. Communication that can trigger and inspire. And I would say that here today we have the most wonderful group of ambassadors. So please take your role as ambassadors and popularize what you are doing, what we are doing. Then he said also about the challenge of mobilization. And indeed, the missions concept is not only to have one-off and little project here and there, it is about leveraging and mobilizing much more and stir around the seat a much bigger endeavor. So my plea here is be the champions as well. You are the first ones, and we have to pull in our roles much, much more, and many people, many more citizens, and more politicians, more representatives from the regional authorities, more fishers, more a bigger part of the business circles. So be the champions. So I would say that with this first forum, we picked up, we started strong, and I'm sure that we will succeed. Let's uphold this important project, and let's make it a success. Thank you very, very, very much to everyone that is here and online today.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you very much indeed. Well, thanks to all of you and everybody online, the organisation team, the excellent production team. I do feel that this has been a very different conference today. I feel that it hasn't just been another pile of words. I know we've been speaking to ourselves, but we've been thinking about the whole global effect of what we're doing. And I genuinely feel as if I have that glow and that look in my eyes as if I've just come back from a river, lake, or ocean trip. I'm still a bit damp, a bit windswept and sunburnt, and I think that's a great sign. I can really feel the energy here. So thank you all very much indeed. A couple of quick announcements. Cars that are parked in the front entrance here have to be moved by 6 because there's a public event. There is the Bright Brussels Festival occurring outside right now, and networking drinks begin right now. So thank you very much, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you.